Hey everyone, I am Cindy Walter, and I am so excited to be interviewing my friend Lindsey Winia tonight. And what I'm so excited about, we have a lot in common. I met her because we have a very good mutual friend, Trudy Maples. I am not financially linked to either one of them. They work together, but I met her, and we both have large families, lots of children. We're both tall. I met someone taller than me, which is wonderful. I can wear heels with her and be eye level with her. And we just have a lot in common. And so we've done a couple calls with each other already. And she has been working with Brandon Bouchard, who is going to be our guest speaker at Celebration. This book, High Performance Habits, is amazing, and she's going to tell you all about him and her work with him. But I'm always looking to better myself, and I always ask questions. And when I meet people, I want to know what they're doing, how they're so successful. And if you've been watching Lindsey, she is #1 leader in action almost all the time. She has earned several trips. She's a top achiever. I mean, so many accolades for being fairly new with the business. How long have you been in now?
3 years.
3 years. Guys, I've been in for 6. She's out earning me. She is doing such an amazing job in this business. And she was on our leadership call with Kathy Coover last week. And I am sure she would never say this, but I'm sure she's being inundated with people messaging her because she actually shared with all of us what she's been doing and how she is so organized and being able to be so successful. And so everyone wants to learn from her what she's doing. So I asked her if I could privately interview her, get a great clean recording that we could continue to share with people as she's doing a lot of calls and training on this. And I am so thankful for your time today, Lindsey. You're just the best.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. And I did a call like this a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately, it was on. We maxed out the line at 100 people. I honestly did not anticipate having a response like that, so I'm actually really grateful to just kind of be walking through this. I truly feel like these are skills that everybody needs, like not just people who do network marketing, but that everyone need in their life to make them the best use of time. And so I I I think this is not my first introduction to time management or time blocking, but as I think most of us do, we get away from maybe the habits that we should have to be the most successful person we can be. So a few months ago, I went to a Brendan Bouchard training in Phoenix. He did a 4-day intensive. It's actually based around that book, The High Performance Habits. And he really honestly did this teeny tiny little segment on time management. And I just took that information and ran with it and decided to come home and teach it to my team. And that's one thing that I really want to share with you. Teaching forward or paying forward what you learn that helps improve your business or helps improve your skills or helps improve anything in your business. If you're not paying that forward when you learn it, if you're not turning around and teaching that to your team, there's really no purpose in having that. Like, the purpose is to make this duplicatable, to pay it forward, to give other people the skills to do the same thing that you're doing. And what I found is when I opened this up to my team members, I actually opened it up on a one-on-one basis. So I said, I'm willing to spend 1 hour with each person, really blocking out your week and managing your time. And what I found is no one had done it like this before, and no one was quite as thorough with their time blocking. Their calendars kind of look like this. Maybe you can resonate with this, but so like that would be like someone's time blocking, like, yeah, I have a couple of appointments this week, but then what do I do with all the rest of that time, right? And what I've found is that if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. So
Yeah.
you have to do things that really make good use of your time. So that's kind of how this all came about.
Awesome. Well, let's get to it. Let's get started. And share away. I totally agree with you. And I think too, the more organized that we are with our time, the more effective we are. And I learn by teaching. So when I go to a seminar, I'm taking notes already. I've already got a couple things written down. I can take all the notes in the world, but until I teach it, it doesn't sink in. So I'm always someone that is teaching what I'm learning, teaching what I'm learning.
Actually, Brendan Bouchard, totally. For those of you who don't know who he actually is a life coach, and but he has spent like thousands of hours studying psychology behind high performing habits. And he's really, really prolific and well read and well studied. And you honestly, like, he's a human trap of factoids regarding success and high performance. But what he said was, if you really want someone to be good at something, have them teach it. So Cindy, like right here, you're already seeing some common themes of, Cindy's a very high performer. She put me above her, but I totally see her as an equal of mine. And she's a very high performer. Not many people accomplish what she's accomplished in this business. And you can see already common themes here of things that we do as leaders that create the success that we're having. So I just want to point that out directly. So before we get started, everyone needs to have a calendar just like this. So it has, in my opinion, this is totally my opinion, and you can find something that works for you. But in my opinion, if you can find a calendar with 15-minute increments, that's the very best, because, we have things like down to the wire, like some things are just going to be that way. So I find that this one right here, it actually has, this is half-hour time slots, but it's a little bit bigger space, so you have more room to write. So you could probably divide up one of those half hours if you needed to. But half hour, 15 minutes. I find that the hour ones are a little more difficult to, get the stuff in there if you have to break it down. So first do that. Grab highlighters, a pen, so that you can put all of your appointments in for the week. And we're going to start off really by what you would do by starting off your day. I just posted a quote in the Plan Your Day recording that I'm going to do. And it was actually, I grabbed it straight from Brendan, so no one needs to think that I'm a genius. But he basically said, set your agenda each day, or the world will do it for you. Don't decide your next move based on the demands of your inbox, but on the direction of your dreams. And I love that. So that's the whole intention behind this is, having you run your day and not your day run you. So when you get started in your day, first of all, I recommend time blocking on a Sunday and mapping out your entire week. And we're going to go ahead and do that process here in a minute. But what I would really recommend is doing it on a Sunday. So blocking in an hour every Sunday to do your time blocking and to get that completed each week. Do it with your spouse. It's a really good idea to know where you guys are on the same page, making sure that everyone has their assignments and roles set out. A lot of the people, even though their spouse might not be working their business with them, I've found that if their spouse knows what they're going to try to accomplish that week to move their business forward, their spouse is going to be a lot more accepting of the things that are coming down the pipe. So that's important too. But every morning you have to block time to set your intentions for the day. So this is what that looks like. When I was at the Brendan Bouchard seminar, Brendan had us do a practice where we would pick 3 words that set our intentions for the day. They don't have to be these words forever. They can change, but I wouldn't recommend that you change them every day. I mean, I think a lot of people set words for the year, and I think that's, a good habit to be in. And I think 3 would be good, because sometimes things aren't defined all in one word. But let me just give you an example that he gave to us that I just really loved. But he said that one of his words was bold. And he said that so many of us bumble throughout the day, meaning we get up, the first thing we do is check our phone, and whatever message is there sets the tone of our day, right? We're totally letting that come into our space and impact how we feel, how we react. what's going to happen from there on out. If it upsets us, we're grouchy. If it makes us happy, we're happy, whatever it is. But rather than letting someone else set that tone for us, it's important to take the time yourself to set that intention. So he picked, one of his words was bold. And he said that every single thing that came into his space, his inbox, his phone, his text, whatever, he would respond like bold Brendan. So instead of being like, let's say maybe you're not feeling particularly bold, but bold is your word. Instead of doing what you may have normally done with that piece of information, he would say, what would bold Brendan do? For example, he was trying to get $1 billion client. He was trying to land his first $1 billion client. So he said, when I would get a contract or when I would get a speaking engagement, I would ask myself, how would bold Brendan respond to this? Would bold Brendan just sign this and send it back? Or would he renegotiate a little bit? Or what would he do? So that's how I want you to think of your words. So I chose 3 words for myself, and it's okay if you don't know what your words are right off the bat. I chose 3 words and I changed them like 2 days later because they weren't really sitting well with me. But I have 3 words and I've been using them ever since my last visit there. And my 3 words are joyful, engaged, and present. And I just share those with you because I want you to kind of hear other possible words. Someone else just shared one of their words with me, and one of their words was relentless, which I was like, ooh, that's such an exciting word. And so choose words that kind of, reflect how you want to show up in the world every single day. And there's 3. And one of the other fun practices that he had us do is that he had us set a timer on our phone for twice a day. I'll show you this timer. So you can see here that I have a timer and at 11 o'clock and it says joyful, engaged, and present. And, so set those in your phone a couple times a day because we all need reminders throughout the day, right? Because maybe we can set our intentions in the morning and by noon they're out the window because of something that happened, when we forget. And I'll have a funny story I'll share with you really quick, but it was Mother's Day just 2 weeks ago. I wasn't working or being particularly intentional that day, so I didn't set my intentions for the day at all. I got up, and just like a little side note, as a mom to 5 kids, I don't love Mother's Day. It's like, they don't want me to do anything, and I find that stressful, and everyone else is stressed because they're trying to do everything. I don't love Mother's Day. So, 2 of my kids got in a fight because, of course, it's Mother's Day. And they're fighting because someone's not doing something they're supposed to be doing, which, it would just be great if they just didn't fight on Mother's Day. But anyway, I got all upset, storming down the hall, got mad at that person. And I started walking back to my room, and my husband was handing me my phone. And guess what alarm was going off?
Joyful.
Joyful, present, and engaged. And I was like, okay. So, all of us need reminders. Like, none of us are superhuman. All of us need reminders to do that every day. So he recommends really taking 15 to 30 minutes prior to talking to anybody, to set your intentions for the day, to meditate and stretch. And there's actually a video called The 5 and 50 by Brendan Bouchard. There's 5 things you should be doing every single day to really set yourself up for the best success. And I'm not going to go into those because it's like a whole nother series of little things, but I will just say, he talks about setting your intentions for the day and meditating and really getting into that space before you interact with anybody. So if you have to set your alarm, like if your normal wake up time that you're going to time block today is 6:30, set your alarm for 6:15 so that you have 15 minutes to just think about your day and how this is going to go. And then he also says that it's best if you look at your day. So you look at your whole day and you just imagine how things are going to go with what you're going to accomplish. So being so intentional with how you're showing up is really important.
This is so funny. You were saying earlier, I like to look at the habits of lots of successful people. And I mean, have you heard Chris Harder's story on this? How he makes him and Lori say certain things,
Oh,
their
yeah.
positive affirmations before they even get out of bed in the morning, because he knows the importance of this. So you hear, and that's what I love about Brandon is he has interviewed the top, most elite, most successful people in the world to come up with these habits that we should all be doing if we want that kind of success. And there's likeness in this. Most of us do this. Most of us get out of bed and we've already had good intentions for the day. We start our foot, off on the right path as soon as we get up in the morning. So I just love that. I was totally thinking of Chris Harder when you were sharing that.
Totally. And like that's what I love about these are principles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These are ways to live your life. That's what I love about this. And yes, I've heard them before. And actually now that you say that, I have heard Chris say that before. But just really determining what it looks like for you is so important. So I have people who say like, well, what about this? Well, my kids get up at 5 a.m. Well, like, I have to be up to get so, like, you know what? It's okay if it doesn't look exactly like I just said it. But somewhere early in that morning, preferably before you engage with other people, you need to decide, how you're going to show up that day
Love
and
it.
just place those things in your heart. And yes, we all need reminders. I even have them twice a day in my phone to recenter me and get me back to where I need to be, to where I can show up and be of best service to myself, to my team, to my family, to anyone who needs me that day. So that's just an important thing. So now you can get out your pens and you can write in like maybe what time you're going to wake up every single day. It's okay if it doesn't look the same every day, although Brendan really suggests getting at least 7 to 8 hours every day. So, if it's a different wake up, everyone knows study wise that you're supposed to like wake up at the same time every day. So if you can do that, great. But go ahead and block out your meditation time in the morning, what time you're going to wake up. So I like to give everyone a few minutes to just do this because this is kind of like workshop style here. So I'm just going to write intentions. And here's another thing I found, like I don't always time block my weekends, because like it's just, I'm like work week, weekend kind of thing. Like they definitely have a different vibe. But I have found if I don't set my intentions on the weekend, things go downhill. So you have to, it's a practice for every day. Don't just do it on the weekdays. Okay. And then you're going to just write in, your morning schedule, so what you have to do in the morning. Typically people have kind of a morning routine that they have to stick to. So Brendan recommends, exercising first thing in the morning, kind of dusting up the cobwebs, getting your mind engaged. One of the things I love that he talks about is just how we treat our bodies. You cannot be of service to people unless you're treating your body the right way. So working out first thing in the morning would be great. If you don't work out first thing in the morning, he said, go for a brisk walk, take your dog for a walk. Anyway, get kind of the blood pumping, do some stretches, something like that. For sure, block in your breakfast because you have to make time to nourish your body. We all have to be congruent with what we teach and preach about nutrition. Make sure that you're blocking that in as well. And he says you're really just not supposed to touch your phone at all till we get past all of that. So yeah, so he said, don't leave your phone in your room, put it across the hall. But I can tell you right now that everyone who has done that has seen huge changes in how they show up. Many of the people that I work with do some kind of like spiritual meditation or scripture study in the morning. And they find that if they don't touch their phone before they set their intentions and do their scripture study, they're so much more centered, when that's all done. And again, not really relying on like the stimulus of our phone and kind of letting it twirl our day out of control. So go ahead and block in setting your intentions. If you're going to exercise, when you're going to eat breakfast, what you have to do in the morning. And, you can also take some time right now to put in your appointments that you have during the week. But the very next thing that I have people put in is their non-negotiables. So non-negotiables would be eating, exercising, taking care of yourself, self-care, whatever that looks like to you, but putting in your non-negotiables. So we'll just do a few minutes here of maybe calendaring your morning, what that looks like every single morning. Of course, my pen stops working. Right? Grab another pen if you need to. Okay. So, all right, I know I haven't given anyone quite enough time to put in all of their appointments for the week, but if you need to pause, push the pause button and put in all the rest of your calendared items for the week. Okay, next thing you really need to put in is personal development. I'm a huge, huge, huge believer in personal development. I truly believe that you have to keep your mind healthy and engaged to have success in this business. I truly feel like if you're not doing personal development on a daily basis, or at least a very, very regular basis, that it's really easy to get into a funk, you know? And so it doesn't matter where you're going to put your personal development time in your day. You can do it in the morning or evening or lunchtime or whatever. What is important is that you put it in. And, you know, some people are like, oh my gosh, like, well, how much time do I gotta put in? And I'm a firm believer in, you know, Brendan talks about multitasking being not effective. And I've totally started to understand. I used to think that I was the most incredible multitasker in the world. And I was like, no, I'm so good at multitasking that I can totally be a multitasker. But what I have found is that when you're multitasking, you're not being as attentive to people or things, and you're really not, you know, having as much success in what you're trying to accomplish. So it's better to just block things in and do them individually than to try to multitask. Now, the only time I am okay with people multitasking is when they're listening to personal development. Like, I have 5 kids. I do a lot of laundry. I do a lot of dishes. I do a lot of picking up around the house. And I can tell you right now, like, I haven't watched TV in 3 years, you know, so I listen to podcasts and things like that when I'm doing menial activities or when I'm driving to do pickups and drops offs or whatever. So I do multitask sometimes, but usually it's very specific times. I don't recommend listening to a podcast while you're trying to maybe do time blocking or something like that. Like, you are not going to be listening to what they're saying if you're trying to do time blocking at the same time. But folding laundry, you can definitely get something out of it. You do the same thing, Cindy?
Well, if it's like a mindless task like that, I was the same exact way. I prided myself on being the queen of multitasking. So, I mean, I did that for years. But what I do now, this has just become a habit of mine, is every morning when I'm getting ready, I'm a bather, so I get the garden tub ready. I put my stuff in my tub and I put on a podcast, and I'm listening to something every single morning. So I'm in there doing my thing, and until the hair blow dryer goes on, I'm listening. So every morning while I'm getting ready, I get at least 30 minutes, sometimes up to 45 of personal development time that I can really focus. The only thing I can't always do is write notes. So what I do is, if it's something that was really, really great, I'll go back and re-listen to it and take notes. A lot of it is stuff that I don't need to do that for, but when it's really good, I'll go back and revisit it and do notes after.
So I had someone who literally would not do personal development because they were like, I have to sit down and take notes when I listen to something. And I was like, no. I was like, if you're not doing personal development because you can't sit down and take notes, you're missing the whole point. So like, I fine if you want to go restart it and take some notes about something you really liked, but honest to goodness, if you're doing personal development every single day and you're feeding your mind repeatedly, a lot of what you're going to hear is the same thing.
Mhm.
So don't get obsessed about taking notes. I've only had one other person be that way, and they were like, I can't, I've got to take notes. And I was like, no, what you've got to do is you've got to listen to it. That's what
Right.
you got to do. So now you have to be committed. So if, like for example, Cindy's example is perfect because she bathes every day, hopefully, right, Cindy? But like, let's say, you're not doing laundry every day and that's your personal development time. Well, then you're going to have to schedule it because it has to be done. And I've just become such a creature of habit that I just, will do it I just do it all the time, sadly, like a little obsessively. But I just find that it's what I need to keep my own fire and my own flame stoked, because when you're leading a large organization of people, and I know you probably feel the same way, Cindy, but like they look to you to keep that energy up and to keep that, excitement and engagement up. And if you're not, constantly engaged and excited, your team is not going to be. So it's really key. It's pivotal if you're leading a group of people, and it really doesn't have to even be a large organization. It can be a small organization. But if people are looking to you for leadership, you need to be engaged and bringing yourself up to that level every day. So that's an important one. And there's so much, like, I'm not even going to take time to go into resources. Well, maybe for a second. What are your favorites? What do you do, Cindy, for personal development?
Eric Worre for network marketing, Tony Robbins, constantly, because so much of his is just deep, deep, deep personal development stuff that helps you get over things that happened to you when you were 2 that you don't even remember. So I'm always encouraging him. Oh gosh, those are probably my 2 biggest ones, but I listen to a ton of things.
Yeah.
I put YouTube videos on, and even if I don't watch them, I listen.
Yeah, that's the same thing I do, and it cracks me up every time someone says, "Well, I can't sit down and watch a video." I'm like, "Don't watch it, just listen."
And I'm
But
like you, no TV. I don't watch TV. I mean, I spend the time that I would be spending doing that, I'm doing other things now.
yeah, I love Brendan Burchard. Also has a YouTube channel, and he's prolific. Like he has thousands of hours. Like you could never stop. I do a lot of Google searches for my favorite top isogenics leaders. So I'll search like Laura Stevens video on YouTube and watch trainings or things like just people who inspire me. So I'll just type in their name and video and watch whatever training they've got going on. So I think those are all great suggestions. But yeah, there's tons to choose from, just tons. There should never be like I don't know what to listen to. So personal development, I think, is key on a regular basis. Make sure that you put in there, now that we're kind of going further down in our day, make sure that you put in there eating lunch, preparing lunch, whatever that looks like. Put in all of your kid pickups and drop-offs. You have to be very, very specific, especially if you're a mom, especially if you're busy, with all the little details, because if you leave them out, you'll get flustered and frustrated about not knowing where and when your time is going. So put all those little details in. And I definitely recommend one of the next things to be putting in is, if you need to schedule family time, family time. And this, when I say family time, I mean time where you're not looking at your phone. So this is one of the things I found, especially for those of us who work from our phones for the majority of the time. What I found is that there's just tons and tons of lovely mom guilt out there. And people are like, oh, I'm a bad mom because I'm working my business or whatever they are telling themselves. But what I found is you can't feel bad if you're giving isolated, engaged individual time with people and you're not, multitasking with your phone. So if you need that one-on-one time with your family to feel that engagement and to feel that, to feel good about that, you have to schedule it and you have to put your phone away when it happens. And I have seen so many people just be completely released from all of the mom guilt because they schedule this time, you know, because it's important to them and they need to have it in their life. I honor the people who can do that. I have 5 kids, so I can't even say that there's a time where we have like all together family time. It just doesn't happen. But I try to be really present during meals, you know, and not take my phone to dinner and things like that. So do the things that you need to do to be present and engaged with your family. You know, if that's you know, putting away your phone on pickups and drop-offs so you can have the after school conversation or whatever, or if that's putting away your phone while you're doing homework with them so that you can be engaged and present and hearing about their day, that's great too. Don't multitask. That's my main message behind that is if you're going to be doing something with your family and you feel like they need you in that moment, the biggest key is going to be putting your phone away and blocking it into your day. Okay, so whatever that looks like for you, that's what you need to be blocking in next. And you know, this is kind of where you know, this is going to be personal and individual to every single person. No one's calendar is going to look the same. Some people are going to be single parents. Some are going to have multiple children, like Cindy and I. Some people are going to have not as many children, or they're going to be at different ages of life. Like, for example, like last time I did this call, someone was like, I have like a 2, 3, and 5-year-old. And I was like, yeah, you don't get time to yourself. So, you know, my suggestion was, even when I had kids that age, I still needed an hour to myself during the day. And I did quiet time, whether they were past napping age or not. I was like, this is your hour. You stay right here. You read your books. You play with your toys. I need 1 hour to like not talk to you, you know, just like, and we just kind of set, you know, the 1 and 2-year-old would be napping. The 5-year-old would be having quiet time. And that's really literally how I kept my sanity through those years. So, you know, I think that's okay too. And one of the other things that the feedback that I'm getting is how it's not only creating a positive, you know, feeling of self for the people who are doing the time blocking, but it's creating a good environment for their families and kids. So whereas their kids might resent them being on their phone or working from their phone, because right, how confusing is it that we work from our phones for our kids? Like we're like, put your phone away, stop playing on your phone, and then we're on our phone you know, making money. But how confusing does that look? So you know, really having the conversation. I know one of my parents even sat down with their kids and said, okay, this is what this is going to look like now. We're going to have time where we sit down and play games and, you know, do stuff with you guys. And we're going to have times when we're working. And here's the time, like they put it out so everyone could see it and it was visual. And when it was work time, they worked. And that was, the kids understood, their kids are old enough to understand that mom and dad are working, because it's so weird that we're home working from our phones or whatever. And that this is the time where we're going to play and be engaged and, you know, and play with you versus, you know, versus be working or whatever. So again, trying as much as you can to separate that time. Right. What have you done for that, Cindy? Because you have a large family too.
The same thing. And I don't know if you want me to mention this now or later.
Oh, go ahead. Well, no, let's do it later. We'll do it in a minute.
Okay.
But I like that.
So yeah, I have to say I've learned and grown with this. When I got started in this business, I was on my phone all the time. And I felt like looking back now, I probably wasn't as present as I should have been when I had my time with my family. As I've grown in this, I've gotten better. My phone is always with me when we go out to dinner, but I leave it in my bag, and I only take it out if I absolutely am waiting for a call or something like that. So I really try to be more present now. Because I've kind of made those mistakes already, and I try to coach people. But I do get a lot of people with young families that this is a big concern for. And I think by doing the time blocking and by really allowing specific hours to be working your business and being intentional, and specific hours to really focusing on your family, it can really help with that and all the guilt, because we put the guilt on ourselves.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. And like I said, it's not going to look the same for every single person. And speaking of which, like now you should be able to, from here on out, put in the time that you want to work your business. And I mean, honestly, like I told Cindy, I really wanted to bring this up because I haven't spoken much to it in a couple of other calls I've done. But, if you want to have a 6-figure business, you have to spend the time to do that. So, a lot of times I'll have people go through this practice and they literally have like 1 hour a day to do their business because they've blocked 4 hours at night to be with their kids and family. And, they've blocked all this time for personal development or just even personal time, just working on themselves or whatever. And the reality of it is if you're only making 1 hour a day to work your business, I have a couple things to say to that. First of all, if that's all you have, that's all you have. So sometimes you just have to bless and release that that's all you have. And we have something called the Power Hour, which we've instituted in our organization. I'm sure Cindy's nodding, so I'm sure she has too. And the Power Hour is, doing the most meaningful activities in your business, what we would call income producing activities in your business every single day, right? Because if you don't touch your business if you don't touch it daily, you're not in business. You have to, this is a business and you have to treat it as such. If you treat it like a hobby, it pays you like a hobby, like forever, which is obviously fine for some people. But I would guess that the people who are on a call like this, they want to have Isogenics or whatever business they're doing as a business. They want to have a business. And so it's really important that you spend time working on your business. And when you do work on your business, that you're doing the most income producing activities during that time, which is not scrolling on Facebook, which is not replying to messages. And what I've really had to tell people is like all these, since we've been sitting here, this is just the reality of it. Oh, it's not too bad today. But since we've been sitting here, I've had 5 text messages, 2 Facebook messages, 1 Marco Polo, and, 69 Facebook notifications, so, and 3 phone calls. So, it's fine, it's fine. And when I go back to this, I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to look at the Facebook notifications first. Those will be last. Probably the Marco Polos will be last as well. I'm first going to respond to the text messages because they're usually, most people, if they need something, they're going to text me right away. Maybe check the voicemails. Actually, I hate voicemails. So I probably won't check those. But I'm going to go to the things that are most important first, and, I'm not going to go to Instagram and be like, hey, let's scroll through Instagram for a minute, that's not going to be of value to my time. That's something that I'll do late when I'm going to bed or something. Scrolling through social media is not going to get you paid in your business. So, you do have to learn to transition from using social media as a tool for your business and using it as a form of entertainment. They're 2 different things. And it's something that you really have to master to be successful in this business. So, one of the things I will do, if I do have to go to Facebook, I go straight to the notifications. I don't know if you can see that. Is it too? There you go. Straight to the notifications. And I'll scroll these notifications because those, being tagged or something like that. So I'll go straight to those and see if they're of important nature. But, if I only have an hour to work my business, I can tell you right now that I wouldn't do any of those things. The first things I would do would be the income producing activities, which would be reaching out to people who have expressed interest, having conversations about getting people started, talking to people who are currently building their business and what they need to do next. Those would be the things that would be the most income producing activities. And that is, if that's all the time you have, that's what you should be doing for sure. So, just in an honest, in honesty and full disclosure, I'm sure both Cindy and I work our businesses, 8 hours a day at least. We work our businesses full time. We also get paid full-time income. So, comparison is a thief of joy, and you cannot compare yourself to myself or Cindy if you're just getting started. I have to admit that I am and was like Cindy, probably spent more time than maybe I needed to, or, didn't use my time as well as I do now. But it's okay too if you're a work in progress. It's okay too if you're figuring it out. It's okay too if you're not doing this perfectly right now. What this is a practice that you're going to do every single week to get better at what you're doing, both in the world and in your business, with your family and with your business, how you show up in life and with your business. Right. And that's what this is going to teach you the habits to do. And I highly recommend that you get an accountability partner who you have to show your schedule to every single week. Because as with anything, this is a habit. It takes 30 to 60 to 90 days to really create a solid habit. So find someone who you can text this to every Sunday and be like, I did my time blocking and it's completed for the week and I'm going to follow this. And then after you have that week, you still have to take that 10, 15 minutes every morning to look down your day to really make sure that you have a game plan for the day and that you've established it so you feel like you have control of that day and that you're working your plan for that day and that it's not working you. So those are the things that I would, just really probably say are the most important for time blocking. Now, once all of that is in, okay, like I clearly didn't do it. I started here. But like once you have everything in, your entire day should be blocked head to toe. And it should, I'll give you an example of what it should look like here. I have team members who text me their calendars, because they're supposed to. Let me see if I can get a good example here. Anything you would want to share, Sand, while I look for this?
My most productive days are the days that I do this. I find the days that I do not time block, those are the days I get caught up on Facebook. The next thing you know, I'm watching a baby video, or then I get sucked into children's talent and they're singing on stages. And I mean, so I am someone that I do best when I've blocked my time out. And I really have to put things on my calendar because I will have the best of intentions, but if I don't have prospecting written down, I won't prospect. That's something I'll procrastinate, and that's one of our top income producing activities.
Yes.
And that's the one I'll procrastinate. So I do best when I have it mapped out. Who am I talking to? Who am I contacting? Who am I following up with? Everything is organized, ready to go. That's when I'm most productive. And that's when I go to bed at night saying, yes, that was a great day.
Yeah. And, just like with anything, like if it were me, like I'm going to be putting the names of the people who I am working with or who I am prospecting or who I am looking to get started that week, their names are going to be right here. So they're staring at me every single day. And I used to have a picture, but I used to have these Post-it notes, just like this. And I would literally list all the people and I would stick them all over my computer screen so that those people were top of mind all the time. And so, again, kind of like we talk about with the executive roadmap, if you don't have that filled out in front of your face and you're not looking at it every single day, you're not going to hit executive. There's nothing reminding you or pushing you to get that done. And I actually have people take sticky notes and create the executive roadmap on their wall to help them get it done so they're focused on it every single day. But here's the example of someone's time blocking calendar. So you can see here, it is completely filled out with different colors. So Cindy, why don't you tell us about your colors?
Okay, so this was interesting. We were talking before the call, and I was sharing with Lindsay that I'm a huge Susan Sly fan. She was one of the first leaders I started listening to when I got started 6 years ago, and I've taken her Organize Your Life classes, her business class, and she is a huge proponent of time blocking and color coding. And so with her class, she had us literally label our, you don't need to see what it says, but you can see I put a label on all of my highlighters. So I have one for personal development. I have one for my income producing activities. I have one for my fitness and working out. I have one for my family time. I have one for my administrative responsibilities, which now I'm trying to delegate as much as I can as I've grown in my business. But I have a color for each activity. So I know when I look at my day, if I have no green, I'm in big trouble. So I do very much what you, this is exactly what I do. I put all my family stuff in there, my non-negotiable stuff, but I've got to figure out how to get as much green in my day as absolutely possible, or my business will not grow.
Right. So just how many hours a day usually do you have green in there? Like, let's just, be honest about this time.
Well, mine is not one green chunk, guys. So mine's not pretty. What my day often looks like is a little bit in the morning, and then all late morning, early afternoon. Then usually I have some, running of kids or different things I have to do. I might go take a yoga class. I do my working out in the morning, but sometimes at night I'll do a yoga class. That's personal time for me. And then I'll go back to work. So I might have 4 or 5 chunks of green throughout my day, but I'm getting my time in.
That's exactly how my day looks as well. And it's funny because a lot of people will be like, "Oh my gosh, Lindsay, you're on, at 7 a.m. and you're still on at 9 p.m." Well, I'm not sitting here for 12 hours. I'm in, I'm out, I'm back and forth. I'm, changing laundry, doing dishes, coming back, getting back to work. And it's definitely chunks of time that are going in there. So, I wish someone could follow me around all day. That would be really eye-opening, but it's chunks of time. And, if we're being honest, I know lots of times you're, blocking in that whole evening. Okay, I'm going to spend from 4 to bedtime with my kids. But the reality of it is, like, if you cannot block more time to work, if you only found 1 hour, you're not going to be able to build your business. And I know that this is different for everyone, but when I started this, I went to a training with Eric Worre. It was Celebration 2016, I think. And he just said, you know what, like, if you had to get to executive tomorrow, or, and there was a gun to your head, could you get it done? you know, could you get it done? And everyone was like, well, yeah, like, I could get it done if there was a gun to my head. And he's like, why don't you treat your business that way? And, when I came into this, that is how I treated this, kind of like you were saying to me. For a long time, I was spending day in, day out. A lot of time I was sacrificing my family time because I had a bigger, greater goal that I was trying to achieve. And so, it's not pretty. It's a lot of hours to achieve, something like Cindy and I have accomplished with this business. Like Cindy said, like, it looks different now that I maybe like matured and maybe got a little more comfortable with my organization and how I can run my organization. But, this, that, there are times, if you want to be successful, you might have to sacrifice some of that time with your family. I don't think there's people out there who work 3 and 4 jobs, trying to just provide for their families. And, they're sacrificing their families 100% just to put food on the table. So you have to also put things into perspective and what you want or what you need. This was a plan B for my husband and I. We had businesses that were not succeeding the way we needed them to or wanted them to. It wasn't a, oh, it'll be nice if this works out. It was I have to make this work out because I don't know what life's going to look like in a couple of years. And so I spent a lot of that time dedicated, and I had my husband's full support in doing so because this was our plan B. So, everyone needs to understand, like, it's going to look different for different people and maybe even at different phases in their lives. And because, this is a work from home business or a business that you run on your own, it's important for people to realize that it might look different at times and it might look different from what someone else is doing, but it's important to really determine what your goals are, right? What you want to accomplish and how you're going to accomplish that. So I think that's important to keep in mind as well. No 2 people's calendars are going to look the same ever. So.
But if there's not a lot of green or whatever color you're using for your income producing activities, that's what you really need to look at, be honest about it, and know that you've got to increase that if your results aren't where you want them to be.
Totally. I totally agree. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough. I know you are a huge Brandon fan, and he's coming to Celebration, so we're super excited about that. And he's got another event in Phoenix you're planning on going to in the fall. Yes. And I love that you said my executives are coming with me on this event. They're coming with me. So
yeah, like we've talked about, just it's the habits that matter. That's what really matter. I mean, you can know the product, you can know the compensation plan, you can know this, you can know that. It's the habits that make the difference. And so that was, even though I tend to be a high performer, clearly, and I do a lot of these things maybe naturally or innately. What I didn't realize is that in order to help other people be high performers, I actually have to teach the skills. And I wasn't really teaching the skills because I didn't really know what they were. I was doing them, and maybe other people are like this too. Like I do them because that's maybe who I am or how I was brought up or, how I've done work or business in the past. Like there's all sorts of factors, right, to being successful. And so, this was very, very eye-opening to me because he was saying like, these are the habits that high performers have. And although I had a lot of them, I wasn't really teaching them or showing people how to do them because I didn't really realize that is what was contributing so largely to my success. So this was just a really eye-opening experience for me. This, like I said, it's not like a 4-day time blocking seminar. It's not. It's all of the high-performing habits, including influence and leadership. And honestly, like it's so comprehensive that I pretty much came home and told my executives they all have to go.
I love it. I love it. And Eric Worre will often say, just to kind of close the gap on the close the discussion on time blocking, he will say when he coaches people one-on-one, which it costs a fortune to be coached by him one-on-one, but he will say right away when he starts coaching someone, show me your calendar and I'll tell you what your paycheck is. Like that's the first thing he does is he wants to look at people's calendars. And so we really need to be honest when we look at our calendar, do we like what we see? And if we don't, then you put all these things that Lindsey shared with you tonight into your calendar, make the change immediately because it's something we have control over today. If you're watching this and it's not a Sunday night, don't wait till next Sunday to do this. Start today.
Do it tonight.
Of the day, you start tonight, plan for tomorrow, and just do this immediately and watch the results change. Because Lindsey shared with me that when she started implementing this and teaching it to her team, her business completely changed. And it's been on fire ever since. Not that it wasn't on fire before, but it's kind of exploded ever since.
Oh yeah. It just puts everyone on the path, right? And gives everyone the success, steps that they need to take. We all have to take these steps. Like that's what I love about Brendan's material is that these are not like haphazard steps, like that work for some people don't work for other people. Like this is it. This is what you have to do. So
that's great. All right. So couple huge nuggets I hope everyone got from this call. One, I am going to set those reminder time in my timer. I'm going to set those reminders because I think, I'm someone that's easily distracted. And knowing that, you get that message, if you're the least bit distracted, that'll get you right back in the right mindset to get back to work. For those of you that don't do the time blocking, I hope you'll immediately do that. I want to look up the 5 and 50 video from Brendan. So I will actually post a couple links for you. I'm going to post that link and I'm going to post the link to the calendars that you shared with me before this call. So if you guys do not have a calendar that you work with, that you're in love with, I'll share with you what Lindsey recommended. But I've got a ton of notes here and I can't thank you enough for your time, Lindsey. And I will provide you this link so that you can share it with everyone because I know you're in hot demand right now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, Cindy.
Oh, love you. Thank you.
Love you too. Bye.